Hi, I am Sivaya, lecturer in physics, working in Vignan Educational Institutions. The topic of today's session is Kirchhoff laws in current electricity. Kirchhoff laws in current electricity. The contents of this video session are introduction to the electric networks, Kirchhoff's first law, Kirchhoff's second law, and some problems related to the Kirchhoff laws. Now come to the introduction. Let us see the network present on the screen. It contains resistors, and batteries. So in case of such circuits where there are more number of the batteries and more number of the resistors, it is difficult to solve the problems by using the basic laws what we studied in the earlier videos. So the basic laws are Ohm's law, V is equal to IR, and also we studied the combination of resistors. Combination of resistors. Like series combination and parallel combination. Using the basic law, Ohm's law, and the series parallel combination of the resistors, we are unable to solve such kind of the complicated networks containing more number of the batteries and more number of the resistors. In such cases, what we have to do to solve the problems? So to solve such complicated networks, different procedures are proposed. The different methods are Kirchhoff laws, star delta conversions, loop analysis, nodal analysis, and some network theorems like Thevenin's theorem, North-Works theorem. These star delta conversions, loop analysis, nodal analysis, and network theorems are not related to our intermediate syllabus. So you will study these methods in your higher courses like BTech courses, whereas the Kirchhoff laws is in our syllabus. Now we are going to study the Kirchhoff laws in detail in this video session. Here there is one more, that is the star delta conversions, which is not included in our syllabus. Even though it is not included in our syllabus, we study in brief about this star delta conversions for the solving of the electrical networks in the easiest way. Now come to the Kirchhoff laws. So Kirchhoff proposed the Kirchhoff laws for the solving of the electrical networks. He proposed two laws for the solving of the electrical networks. They are Kirchhoff's first law, Kirchhoff's second law. The Kirchhoff's first law is also named as the Kirchhoff's current law or junction rule. The Kirchhoff's second law is also called as Kirchhoff's voltage law or Kirchhoff's loop rule. See, there are two new words. They are junction and loop. What is meant by a junction? What is meant by a loop? For that, let us consider the electrical network. In this electrical network, consider A, B, C, D, E, F. Here what is meant by junction? Junction is a point at which three or more than three branches are meeting in an electrical network. Three or more are meeting. Point where three or more branches are meeting. The point where three or more meeting is called as a junction. See, in this network, let us identify the junctions. See, at point B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are meeting, so that B is a junction. At point C, 1, 2, 3 are meeting, so that C is a junction. F, 1, 2, 3 are meeting at point F, so that F is also a junction. So in this network, the point B, the point F and the point C are the examples of the junction. Suppose if we consider a point A, here how many branches are meeting? Only two branches are meeting, so that it is not treated as a junction. Similarly, D, E are also not treated as the junctions. Now come to the loop. Loop means simply a closed path. Suppose let us start at a point, say B. By traveling along the closed path like this, if we come back to the initial point, that the closed path is called as the loop. So in this diagram, let us identify the closed paths. Suppose let us start at point B. B, E, F, B. This B, E, F, B is the closed path. We start at B and again we reach the point B, so that B, E, F is a closed. Identify one more. B, E, F, C, B. Like this, in the given electrical network, we can identify number of the loops. Loop is nothing but a closed path. Sometimes it is also called as mesh. Sometimes it is also called as mesh. Now, sometimes we use another word, branch. It is the part of the electrical network between the two junctions. Suppose B is the junction, C is the junction. Between BC, there is a part of that part of the network is called as generally branch. Generally, whenever we are identifying or whenever we are studying the currents passing through the various elements, we assume only one current in one branch. We assume only one current in one branch. Now, come to the Kirchhoff's first law and its explanation. What is Kirchhoff's first law? So, the Kirchhoff's first law states that the sum of the currents flowing towards a junction is equal to the sum of the currents flowing away from the junction in any electrical network. I am repeating, the sum of the electrical currents flowing towards a junction is equal to the sum of the currents flowing away from the junction in any electrical network. To understand this, let us consider a junction O where there are 5 branches meeting. Say, in that branches, currents are flowing, the direction of the arrow gives the direction of the flow of the current. So when you see that some currents are flowing into the junction, some currents are flowing away from the junction. So let us assume the current magnitudes, let it be I1, let it be I2, I3, I4 and I5. So in 5 branches, we assume 5 currents, I1, I2, I3, I4 and I5. All these branches are meeting O here. Now, let us identify the currents which are flowing into the junction. Here, I1 is flowing into the junction, I4 is also flowing into the junction. So, I1 and I4 flowing into the junction. What about others? I2, I3 and I5 are flowing away from the junction. What are that? I2, I3 and I5, they are flowing away from the junction. They are flowing away from the junction. Now what the Kirchhoff's first law states? The sum of the electrical currents flowing towards the junction is equal to the sum of the currents flowing away from the junction. Now first let us take the sum of the electrical currents flowing towards the junction, that is given by I1 plus I4. Similarly calculate the sum of the currents flowing away from the junction, that is I2 plus I3 plus I5. So from the Kirchhoff's first law, we can say that the sum of the currents flowing towards the junction is equal to the sum of the currents flowing away from the junction, that is I1 plus I3 is equal to I2 plus I3 plus I5. So I am repeating, first of all, in the given network, identify the point or junction at which we want to apply the Kirchhoff's first law or Kirchhoff's current law. Then let us observe the currents which are flowing into the junction, which are flowing away from the junction. Now take the sum of the currents flowing into the junction or towards the junction. Then take sum of the currents away from the junction. Now simply equate the two, we get an equation. So from this equation, by substituting the known values, we can determine the unknown value of the current. Here, this Kirchhoff's first law deals with currents, that's why this is also called as the Kirchhoff's current law. That too, this law is applied at a junction, that's why this is also called as the Kirchhoff's junction rule. The next question is, why? What principle explains this? Why the sum of the currents flowing towards the junction is equal to the sum of the currents flowing away from the junction? Further, the reason is, we know that the current is passing in the circuit due to the flow of the charges. The charge will not be accumulated with time. As the time goes on, the charge must be flowing across the junction. So according to the law of conservation of charge, the amount of the charge flowing into the junction is equal to the amount of the charge flowing away from the junction, so that by using the law of conservation of charge, law of conservation of charge, by using the law of conservation of charge, okay, right? This is about the first law or current law or junction rule. The same law is also going to be explained in another way. See the second method. In the second way, the Kirchhoff's first law is stated as the algebraic sum of the currents meeting at a junction is always equal to 0. See, I am using algebraic sum. So, the algebraic sum of the electrical currents meeting at a point or meeting at a junction in any electrical network is always equal to 0. Mathematically, we can write it as sigma I is equal to 0. So, algebraic sum means currents are assigned with sign, either positive sign or negative sign. If we add the currents along with their sign, that sum is called as the algebraic sum. So, we will see it in the coming part. Now, to explain the Kirchhoff's current law, let us consider the same junction what we studied in the previous example. Here, O is the junction, 5 currents are there in the 5 branches. When you say that 2 currents are flowing into the junction, 3 currents are flowing away from the junction. Whenever we are applying this method, we have to follow some sign convention. See that sign convention. Here, the currents flowing towards the junction are taken as positive. For currents, we are going to assign sign. The currents flowing towards the junction are taken as positive, and the currents flowing away from the junction are taken as negative. Now, here for which currents we have to take positive sign, for which currents we have to take negative sign? I1, I4 are flowing into the junction, so that I1 and I4 are positive. Whereas I2, I3, I5 are flowing away from the junction, so that we have to assign negative sign. I2, I3 and I5. The negative, we had to assign negative sign while adding the currents. That means we are going to assign sign for the currents while applying the algebraic sum of the currents. Now, the sigma I is equal to 0. Take the currents with a positive sign and with a negative sign in a proper way and add them and then equate to 0. Then the mathematical equation becomes I1 minus I2 minus I3 plus I4 minus I5 is equal to 0. It means here 2 currents are taken as positive, 3 currents are taken as negative in the summation. This kind of the summation is called as the algebraic sum. The algebraic sum of the currents meeting at a junction is always equal to 0 in any electrical network. Either by using the first method or by using the second method, we can Apply the Kirchhoff's first law at a junction to solve the unknown currents. So I am repeating, in the first method, the sum of the currents flowing towards the junction is equal to sum of the currents flowing away from the junction. Whereas in the second method, the algebraic sum of the electrical currents meeting at a junction is always equal to 0 in any electrical network. So I am going to explain the Kirchhoff's second law, that is also called as the voltage law or rule. Now, the Kirchhoff's second law states that the algebraic sum of the potential drops and EMFs along any closed loop in an electrical network is always equal to 0. I am repeating, the algebraic sum of the potential drops and EMFs along any closed loop in an electrical network is always equal to 0. So mathematically, sigma IR is the potential drop, I is the current, R is the resistance, plus sigma E for EMF of the battery. This is always equal to 0. So algebraic sum of the potential drops and EMFs along any closed loop in an electrical network is always equal to 0. So here we are studying about the voltages and EMFs in the circuit. That's why this is also called as the voltage law, and this law is applied along a closed loop. That's why this is also called as the loop rule. Now, to apply the Kirchhoff's second law for the electrical circuits, we need some procedure. By following the procedure, step-by-step procedure, we can easily apply the Kirchhoff's second law for the electrical networks. See the procedure step by step. In the first step, assume the currents in the different branches of the given circuit. See, in the given circuit, there are different junctions A, B, C, D, and different branches are there. Assume the different currents in the different branches. While assuming the currents, you may have doubt what direction we have to take. It is your choice. We can take any direction for the current. Suppose I assume current I1 which is flowing from left to right. I assume current I2 which is flowing from bottom to top. I assume the current I3 which is flowing again from left to right. I assume the current I4 from top to the bottom. Say in 4 branches, I assume 4 currents. The direction of the current is my choice. We can assume in any direction. But remember, after solving the problem, you may get either positive sign or negative sign in the answer. If you get a positive sign, it indicates that your assumed direction is correct, your assumed direction is correct, and the current is passing in the direction of the arrow. If you get a negative sign, it indicates that your assumed direction is wrong and the current is flowing opposite to the arrow mark of the current. Keep that point in mind. I am repeating, first of all, assume the currents in the different branches. Current in the branches can be assumed in any direction, it is our choice. Now the second rule is, select the loop or closed path in the given circuit. Here, let us start at point A. Move from A to B, then from B to C, then from C to D, and then from D to A like this. So I start at A and I come back to the point A so that a closed path is forming. This closed path is called as the loop. So here we can assume the loop either in the clockwise direction or the anti-clockwise direction. It is also purely our choice. So here I assume the clockwise direction. So assumptions of the currents and the directions of the currents purely our choice. Assumptions of the loop and the direction of the loop is also purely our choice. After that, whenever we are moving in the loop, here we consider the loop or closed path in the clockwise direction. Whenever we are moving along the closed path or loop, sometimes there may be fall of the potentials, sometimes there may be rise of the potentials. Now, the convention is the rise in potential is taken as positive. Rise in potential is taken as positive and fall in potential is taken as negative. This is the important notation. The rise in potential is taken as positive, the fall in potential is taken as negative. Then you may have doubt. Sir, when there is rise in potential, when there is fall in potential? For that, I am going to explain 4 rules to identify where there is rise in potential, where there is fall in potential in the electrical network. See, if you observe the network, when we are moving from A to B, this is the direction of the loop, this is the direction of the current, both are in the same direction. Whereas, when we are moving from B to C, the direction of the current, this is the direction of the loop. That's why the direction of the current and the direction of the loop may be in the same direction. The direction of the current and the direction of the loop may be in the opposite directions. Now, in which case we have to consider the rise in potential, in which case we have to consider fall in potential. For that, see the cases. Here, in the first case, the direction of the current and the loop are in the same direction. In the second case, the direction of the current and the direction of the loop are in the opposite direction. Already we know that the conventional current flows from higher potential point to the lower potential point. If suppose this is the direction of the current, then there must be higher potential when compared to this point, so that this is the higher potential point, this is the lower potential point. Whereas here, this is the direction of the current, so that this is at higher potential, this is at lower potential. Now, in this case, whenever we are moving from higher potential point to the lower potential point, from higher potential point to the lower potential point, there is clearly fall in potential. That fall in potential is taken as negative, so that we have to consider the potential drop across the resistor. In this case, must be taken as negative. What is potential drop? I is the current, R is the resistance, so that the potential drop is IR. That potential drop IR must be taken as negative. Whereas here, whenever we are moving in the loop, we are moving from the lower potential point to the higher potential point like this. Lower potential point to the higher potential point. Clearly, there is a rise in potential. The rise in potential as positive, so that the voltage drop IR must be taken as positive. Okay? Sometimes the potential drop across the resistor IR is taken as positive, sometimes taken as negative. That is decided by this simple. Now come to the finding of the rising potential and falling potential in case of the batteries. If suppose we see the first battery of EMF E1, whenever we are moving in the loop, we are moving from positive terminal of the battery to the negative terminal of the battery. Whereas here, we are moving from the negative terminal of the battery to the positive terminal of the battery. That's why two situations may be arising in case of the batteries. There, we are moving from the positive terminal to the negative terminal of the battery, or negative terminal to the positive terminal of the battery. This positive terminal means this is at a higher potential, negative terminal means this is at lower potential. Similarly, this is at lower potential, this is at a higher potential. Then identify. In the first case, we are moving from higher potential to the lower potential, so that there is fall of the potential, that must be taken as negative. Whereas here we are moving from the negative potential, lower potential to the higher potential, so that there is a rise in the potential. The rise in the potential is taken as positive. That's why whenever we are moving in the loop, whenever there are cells or batteries, by following this, we can identify whether there is a rise of potential or fall in potential. So remember these four rules. These four rules plays a very important role while applying the Kirchhoff voltage law for the electrical network. Right? So I am repeating. When the direction of the current and the direction of the loop are in the same direction, then IR is negative. When the direction of the current and the direction of the loop are in the opposite direction, IR is positive. When the loop is moving from the positive terminal of the battery to the negative terminal of the battery, EMF of the battery E is negative. When the loop is moving from the negative terminal to the positive terminal of the battery, then the EMF of the cell is positive. These are the four rules adopted to apply the Kirchhoff's voltage. They must be in our mind, then only we can write down the Kirchhoff's voltage law for any electrical network. Right? I am giving you one more point. Sometimes there may be a confusion. See, in this branch BC, current is passing. So, sir, is the direction of the current have any importance? No, remember, in case of the cells, the direction of the current is not to be considered. Why? Because, so this is the current assumed by us. That may be the direction of the current, or the reverse may be the direction of the current. That's why while seeing the batteries, just consider only the loop direction but not the direction of the current in the battery. Now, for this network, I am going to apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law. See the step-by-step procedure. See here, this current is I1. Current in this branch is I2, I3, I4. Four currents are assumed in the four branches, and the loop is taken in the clockwise direction like this. So here what is the closed loop? In the closed loop, we start at A, then reaches B, then C, then D, and finally come back to the point A. A, B, C, D, A. We are going to apply the voltage law. Because it is the first time of applying the Kirchhoff's voltage law, just recall the four sign conventions what we studied in the previous slide. They are the sign conventions. Now keep that sign conventions in your mind while applying the Kirchhoff's voltage law. Using that law, let us apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law. What can we write? Start at point A, reach the point B. In the AB branch, only resistor is there. The direction of the current and the direction of the loop is same, so that the potential drop IR is negative. Here what is current value? I1. What is resistance value? R1. So minus I1 R1. Next, move across BC branch. In the BC branch, there is battery and also there is a resistor. Apply the rule of the batteries for EMF and apply the rule of resistors for the potential drop. In case of the battery, what is happening? We are moving from positive terminal of the battery to the negative terminal of the battery. Whenever we are moving from the positive terminal of the battery to the negative terminal of the battery, the EMF is negative, so that minus E1 across the resistor. The direction of the current and the direction of the loop are in the opposite direction, so that the second rule is implemented and IR is positive. The current is I2, the resistance is R2, so that plus I2 R2. So similarly, by applying the rules along this CD, DA, we have plus I3 R3, next plus I4 R4, and plus E2 is always equal to 0. Okay, so the writing of Kirchhoff's voltage becomes easy only when you have these rules in your mind. So that please be clear in the sign convention for the potential drops and the EMFs, then it becomes easy to write down the Kirchhoff's voltage law for any complicated network. If suppose there are two unknown currents, we write two loop equations, then we get two equations. By solving the two equations, we will get the two unknown currents. If suppose there are three unknown currents in the circuit, so for getting three unknowns, three equations are required, so that we consider three independent loops, and by writing the three equations for the three loops, by solving them, we will get the three currents. So this is about the Kirchhoff. Repeating, the algebraic sum of the algebraic sum means here also some are positive, some are negative. Take the proper sign to the potential drop and the EMF and add them, that is called as the algebraic sum. The algebraic sum of the potential drops and EMFs along any closed path in an electrical network is always equal to 0. So I think you have clarity about the Kirchhoff's first law and Kirchhoff's second law to apply for the electrical networks. Now, so I am explaining some problems which are recently given in the examinations. So it was given in the 2019 JEE mains. See this problem. In the given circuit diagram, the current I1 is equal to I2, I4 is equal to, and I5 is equal to some values are given. I1 is equal to minus 0.3 amperes, I4 is equal to 0.8 amperes, I5 is equal to 0.4 amperes are flowing, as shown in the figure. The currents I2, I3 and I6 respectively are dash. Some currents are given, some currents are not given, and we want to find out that current values. So what is given? I1 is equal to minus 0.3 amperes. I2 is equal to not I5 is given. I5 is equal to 0.4 amperes and I4 is equal to 0.8 amperes. I1 is given, I4 is given and I5 is given. We want to find out I2 value, I3 value and I6 value. This is the question. So in this circuit there are different points P, Q, R, S like this. We are going to apply the Kirchhoff's current law for this electrical network to determine the unknown currents. The junction Q. By applying Kirchhoff's current law, short form is KCL. By applying the Kirchhoff's current law at Q. What is Kirchhoff's current law? Sum of the currents flowing towards the junction is equal to sum of the currents flowing away from the junction. So at point Q, how many branches are meeting? 1, 2, 3, 4 branches are meeting. In that, the current in this branch is moving away from the junction. This one is also moving away from the junction. This current is moving towards the junction. This current is also moving towards the junction. So that what can we write? Sum of the currents flowing towards the junction, I1 plus I2 is equal to sum of the currents, the sum of the currents flowing towards the junction is equal to I3 plus I6 is equal to the sum of the currents flowing away from the junction, that is I1 plus I2. Similarly, by applying the Kirchhoff's current law at point P, what can we write? At point P, actually it is not a junction. This SPQ is a single branch. This current is flowing towards the junction. This current is flowing away from the junction. Current flowing towards the junction I5 is equal to current flowing away from the junction. I5 is equal to I6. Already I5 is given to us. I6 is to be determined. So by substituting I5 value, we get I6 is equal to 0.4 amperes. I6 is equal to 0.4 amperes. Similarly, let us apply the Kirchhoff's current law at point S. So I5 is known, I5 is known, I4 is known. We want to determine I3 value. For that, let us apply the Kirchhoff's current law at point S. Yes. Here, this current is flowing into the junction. This is flowing away from the junction. This is also flowing away from the junction. So that the sum of the currents flowing towards the junction, I4 is equal to the sum of the currents flowing away from the junction, I3 plus I5. So here, I4 is given, that is 0.8 is equal to I3 is unknown and I5 is given, that is 0.4 amperes. From this we have I3 is equal to 0.8 minus 0.4, that is equal to 0.4 amperes. So here we have I6 value, here we have I3 value. Let us substitute the values in this equation. What is I3? I3 is equal to 0.4 amperes. Next, what is I6? 0.4 amperes is equal to, what is I1? I1 is equal to minus 0.3 amperes plus I2. By solving this, by taking this minus 0.3 to this side, it becomes I2 is equal to 1.1 amperes. Okay. So here we have I2 value, here we have I3 value, here we have I6 value. This is purely based on the Kirchhoff's current law. Very simple problem. So if you are getting 3 answers as right, you will award 4 marks in the JEE mains. So that clarity is needed where we have to apply the Kirchhoff's current law. By applying the Kirchhoff current law in a proper way at different junctions, we can write down the equations for solving of the currents. See the another example based on the Kirchhoff's voltage law. So here a network is given which contains 2 batteries and 3 resistors. Find the current passing through 6 ohms resistor in the given circuit. So this is the 6 ohm resistor. We want to find out the current passing through the 6 ohm resistor. For that, I am going to apply the Kirchhoff's current law and Kirchhoff's voltage law for the solving of the circuit. Follow the procedure what we studied in the Kirchhoff's voltage law. Let us assume the different currents in the different branches. The direction of the current is our choice. So I assume the current I1 along this direction, and I assume the current I2 along this direction, and I assume the current I3 along this direction. So in 3 branches, I assume 3 currents, I1, I2, I3. Points at different parts of the network like this. Now when you see the network, we feel that there are 3 unknown currents. So to solve the 3 unknown currents, 3 equations are required. But by using the Kirchhoff's current law, we can reduce the current number as minimum number as possible to solve the network. For that purpose, let us apply Kirchhoff's current law at point B. This is the point B. At point B, 3 branches are meeting. I1 is flowing into the junction, I2 is flowing into the junction, I3 is flowing away from the junction. The sum of the currents flowing towards the junction, I2, is equal to the sum of the currents flowing away from the junction. So that if you know I1, I2 values, automatically we will get I3 value. So that there are only 2 independent currents. Now we want to find out the current passing through the 6 ohms resistor in the problem, that is, we have to find out I3 value. Now I am going to apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law for 2 loops. First, let us consider the loop A, B, C, D, A. For that ABCD loop, applying KVL for loop A, B, C, D, A. What we get? Recall the 4 rules what we adopted for the rise or fall of the potentials. Here the direction of the current and the direction of the loop are in the same direction. The potential drop is negative. So minus the resistance is 4, the current is I1, so that minus 4 I1. Next, here also the direction of the current and the direction of the loop are in the same direction, so that here also the potential drop is negative, minus 6I3. Here we are moving from the negative terminal to the positive terminal of the battery. There is a rise in potential, so that plus 12. This is equal to 0. But we know that this I3 plus I2, by substituting that it becomes minus 4I1 minus 6 of I1 plus I2 plus 12 is equal to 0. By expanding this one and by rearranging, we have 10I1 plus 6I2 is equal to 12. So I am expanding the bracket, terms are rearranging, and we get it as 10I1 plus 6I2 is equal to 12. Let it be equation number 1. Now, again apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law for another loop BC, BE, FCB like this. Again, write down the Kirchhoff's voltage law by applying KVL for loop B, E, F, C, B. What we get? Direction of the current and the loop are in the opposite directions, so that IR is positive, minus 3 plus 3I2. Next, we are moving from the positive terminal of the battery to the negative terminal of the battery, so that is negative, minus 10.8. When we are moving from F to C, there are no resistors, there are no batteries. That's why there is no channel in that FC branch. Now, when we move from C to B, direction of the current and the loop are in the opposite direction. So plus 6I3 is equal to 0. Again, by substituting I3 is equal to I1 plus I2 from equation number 1, we have 3I2 minus 10.8 plus 6 of I1 plus I2 is equal to 0. Again, by expanding the bracket, by rearranging the terms, we have 6I1 plus 9I2 is equal to 10.8. Equation number 2. So from 2 loops, we have 2 equations. So solving of equations is known to you, it is mathematics. So solve the 2 equations, and by solving we get I1, I2 values. Here you may get I1 is equal to 0.8 amperes and I2 is equal to 0.6 amperes. After solving the 2 equations, we get I1 is equal to 0.8 amperes and I2 is equal to 0.6 amperes. There the problem is not finished. What is the question? The question is, we want to find the current passing through the 6 ohm resistor. After calculating I1, I2 values, Using this equation 1, find out I3 value. So I3 is equal to I1 plus I2. That is equal to 1.4 amperes. Like this, by applying the Kirchhoff's current law and the Kirchhoff's voltage law for the given electrical networks, we can determine the current passing through the different branches of the circuit. If we know the current in a branch, we can determine the potential drop across that branch by using the simple Ohm's law, V is equal to IR. So I think you have ability to write down the equations using the Kirchhoff's current law and Kirchhoff's voltage law for the solving of the networks after seeing this video session. Now try to solve this problem as your homework. So apply the Kirchhoff's current law, Kirchhoff's voltage law for the given electrical network and find the potential difference between the points A and B. Okay? So after solving the problem, you will get the answer as 10/3, that is nearly 3.3 volts, which was also given in the 2019 mains in the January session. Right? Thank you one and all.